Galan begins each quest with 1 persistent solar intensity. This becomes 2 when defending, and 3 if defending a final boss node. When Galan defeats a non-dimensional being, he will gain 1 additional solar intensity. And at the start of the fight, gain 1 indefinite Intensify passive for each solar intensity. Each Intensify passive will increase the potency of all future buffs by 20%. And at 3 solar intensity, all of Galan's special attacks gain a True Sense buff, bypassing the effects of Miss and Auto Block. Galan is fully immune to the effects of Fate Seal and Nullify, making him fantastic against nodes like Buffet. In addition, he is also immune to all forms of power control, including Power Drain, Power Burn, Power Lock, and Special Lock, making him not only effective against champions, but also nodes that attempt to control his power gain. When striking with his first light and second medium attack, Galan will gain 1 indefinite physical resistance buff. And when striking with his first medium attack, Galan will gain 2 indefinite energy resistance buffs. Both resistance buffs have a max stack of 20. When building additional resistance buffs when at their max stack, you will replace the previous versions with an updated potency. Speaking of buffs, whenever Galan gains a buff, his planetary mass counter will increase by 10. Galan also gains 50 planetary mass whenever the opponent gains an armor up effect. Planetary mass has a maximum of 999. When Galan is knocked down by a special attack, he will lose 30 planetary mass per bar of power spent on the attack. Landing a heavy attack with 100 or more planetary mass will trigger the Harvest. While the Harvest is active, Galan cannot gain power over 1 bar of power. On defense, the Harvest activates when Galan reaches 100 or more planetary mass. The Harvest lasts for 14 seconds, and when the Harvest ends, Galan consumes all planetary mass to deal a burst of direct damage for each planetary mass consumed. This damage scales with base attack only, and is halved on defense. While the Harvest is active, Galan also gains an Unstoppable buff and a Regeneration buff. If Galan performs a special attack while the Harvest is active, it becomes unblockable and the Harvest ends. The burst of damage triggers on the final hit of the special attack. On activation of the special attack 1, Galan gains 4 Fury buffs, increasing attack rating for 26 seconds. And if activating this attack while the Harvest is active, he will convert all of Galan's resistance buffs into 5 planetary mass each. On activation of the special attack 2, Galan gains 8 Intensify buffs, each lasting 22 seconds and increasing the potency of all new buffs by 5%. The final 3 hits of this attack will inflict 1 Incinerate debuff, dealing energy damage over 14 seconds. And if the Harvest is active when the special attack is used, instead inflict 3 Incinerates per hit with the same potency and duration. Using the special attack 3, Galan immediately gains 200 planetary mass, and begins a planetary harvest if it is not already active. If, however, the harvest is active, it will refresh its duration, and enable Galan to gain power past 1 bar. Once per quest, Galan can consume 2 solar intensity in the pre-fight menu to place a cross-fight Cosmic Seed on the next fight. The next Cosmic Champion, excluding Galan, to enter this fight, gains the seed and becomes a herald for the rest of the quest. Whenever a herald emerges victorious, the seed will grow in power to grant abilities. Victories max out at 5. At 0+ victories, heralds reduce the potency of all power burn effects by 100%. At 1+ victories, heralds gain a 7% resistance to all damaging debuffs for each victory. And at 2+ victories, heralds become unblockable when launching a special attack into the opponent's block. This buff lasts for the duration of the special attack and an additional 1 second added for each victory. Once activated, this ability goes on cooldown for 24 seconds. When awakened, whenever Galan prevents a power drain, burn, lock, or special lock effect from a non-mystic champion, he gains 1 to 3 indefinite physical resistance or energy resistance buffs. These act the same as his normal resistance buffs. In addition, when the harvest is active, Galan becomes stun immune and deals a burst of direct damage whenever Galan gains any amount of planetary mass. This damage scales with base attack only. One of the greatest attributes of Galan is his ease of use. He is a very easy champion to get a handle on. I typically will not go with a 5-hit combo. This is because you want to gain as much planetary mass as possible, and you gain planetary mass on your first medium, first light, and second medium attacks. So I will typically opt for a 3-hit combo, at most a 4-hit combo. I will build up to just under a special 2, and then I will throw my special 1. Obviously this will bring your power meter back down, allowing you to build more planetary mass. It will also give you additional planetary mass, and it will give you fury buffs as well. I will rinse and repeat this process until I hit my desired amount of planetary mass. If for a long fight or a very beefy opponent, you will want to hit the maximum number of planetary mass for each rotation, 999. You don't have to hit this for shorter fights. He can still deal a ton of burst damage with smaller amounts of planetary mass. Once you hit the desired amount, you will then heavy the opponent, activating the harvest. At this point, it is best to go right into your special 2 or special 1, depending on whichever one you're using. I typically opt for the special 2. I will typically dash in and cancel my dash with the special attack. This special attack is unblockable and unstoppable, so you have a lot of protection while the harvest is active. The special 2 will also put incinerates on the opponent, and with the harvest it'll put 9 incinerates, so you'll be doing a lot of incinerate damage after the initial burst damage. But for many opponents, the burst damage will be enough to finish them off. The burst damage on a rank 3 6-star can be as high as 170,000, sometimes a little bit higher, but the burst damage is absolutely astronomical. This burst damage does seem to be the same with either the special 1 or the special 2. Your planetary mass really is what dictates the amount of burst damage that's going to come out, so don't feel afraid to use that special 1 if you're in a pinch. As well, you may want to stay away from the special 3. There's really not a whole lot of use for the special 3. It will reactivate the harvest if you're in the middle of it, and maybe the opponent somehow pushes you into your special 3. I can't imagine that would happen unless you were just right under that special 3 when you activated the harvest. Again, you are unstoppable and unblockable when you throw your special. But if you do get pushed into it, it will, in fact, restart the harvest and allow you to get past 1 bar power, although it is very difficult to do that in most fights unless you have some kind of abnormal amount of power gain. Now, one of my favorite things about Galan is his ability to interact with Buffet, because he is immune to Nullify, so he can completely nullify, funny enough, all the effects of Buffet, and it will not affect him at all. As well, one of my other favorite fights, in this one here, you'll see Act 7.1.5, he's fighting against Civil Warrior. Whenever the opponent will gain armor up buffs, Galan will actually gain more planetary mass. He'll gain 50 for each armor up buff that the opponent gains. So you'll see my planetary mass, I'm only 9 hits in, I'm already at close to 300 planetary mass. It's absolutely crazy what you can do with an opponent who gains a lot of armor. So you don't really have to be worried about that. Now, with the armor up buffs, it doesn't count if they start the fight with an armor up buff. It only counts if they gain armor up buffs during the fight. As you can see here, we're gaining planetary mass very, very quickly. You can keep on seeing that immune pop up because he is immune to the Buffet node, and then we're about to hit our heavy and then go straight into our special 2, unblockable, unstoppable, and just a ton of burst damage there, guys. Absolutely love using Galan in fights like this. Now, Probably his best attribute overall is he is a good counter for, and that is Penny Parker. He is a fantastic Penny Parker counter. He is completely immune to her power drain effect whenever you hit into her shield. In fact, it's probably one of the only times you actually want to hit into her shield, and you'll actually find that when her shield is active and it would normally power drain, you will be gaining a ton of planetary mass just by striking into her block, as long as her sync shield is active. So again, we look at this fight against Penny Parker, and you can see every time her sync shield is active and he hits into her shield and it will attempt to power drain him, he will actually gain planetary mass. Now this only works while the sync shield is active. Once it is inactive and she can no longer do that power burn, then he will not gain any more planetary mass. But it makes it really easy to build up your planetary mass against her. Plus, even when the auto block happens, it's really not a threat to him. He can just completely gain his powers from Penny Parker and just completely decimate her. This makes him the absolute 100% best counter against Penny Parker in any situation. Taking a look at another really annoying defender, Sam Wilson has the ability to auto block all special attacks. The great thing is he gains so much armor that Galan is able to just gain all the planetary mass he needs and then go through with that unblockable through that auto block and just completely decimate Sam Wilson. Guillotine 2099, again another very annoying defender, as her special attack 1 will power drain through your block. Again, Galan does not have to worry about this. He can completely get around that mechanic. In addition, if you build up his planetary mass high enough before she gets her regeneration threshold, the burst damage will just insta-kill her, so you will not have to worry about that regeneration kicking in with Guillotine 2099. After winning at least one fight with Galan, he can make any other Cosmic Champion a Herald, which some Cosmic Champions do have additional benefits, such as Cosmic Ghost Rider, but the base benefits be that with them just in their first fight, they will become Power Burn immune, and then also after one victory, they become resistant to damaging debuffs. And so you can gain up to 35% resistance to damaging debuffs, which is a really great attribute to have on Cosmic Champions as well. After 2 victories, you will then have an unblockable special attack if you are striking it into the opponent's block. This does have a cooldown, but can come in very clutch or in a pinch if your champion is in trouble. Finally, let me say that Galan 100% does not have to be awakened in order to be a great champion. His awakened ability really does not change his damage that much. It does not affect his burst damage whatsoever. What it does do, among other things, is it makes him stun immune, so it will make him better against nodes such as encroaching stun, or as you saw early in the video, fighting someone that will do a reflective stun such as Black Panther Civil War. Now, this is not necessary to have, but it is a great addition to his mechanics. You do have to have the Harvest active in order for him to be stun immune, but it is something great to have, but not necessary for his damage rotation. Overall, Galan is a fantastic addition to not only the Cosmic class, but all the champions in the game. He's very easy to use and can deal an incredible amount of damage in a very short amount of time.